Okay, this is a playtest of the standard rules for Electromagnate. I've gone ahead and set up the board. We have the megalithic structures on the top right of the board. They're ordered into their three types: pyramid, stone circle, and obelisk. Next to them are the technology cards, unshuffled and face down. The component deck is shuffled because players are going to get a random draw of 5 components. Mainly for setup, what players need to do is to choose their characters from the poker deck. Now these are going to be the face cards that show up in the deck, but there's only going to be 3 to each faction, so these 2 would be redundant and you only choose 1. So each faction gets a jack, a queen, and a king. Here's the red king, black jack, black king, and red queen. Okay, so now that they've all been selected, the next thing to do is to take the assortment of random event cards and shuffle them into the poker deck, and this effectively makes it the combat deck. So the combat deck goes on the combat cards tile, and now all 6 of these cards need a location on the game board. So they're going to go into their stands, and the 2 6-sided dice are going to be rolled to determine which of the 19 nodes the characters are going to fall on. Okay, so these are all going to go off to the side, and red and black need to determine who goes first, and after that there's an alternating order of character placement. So black rolls and red rolls. Red gets a 6, so they go first. And I'm going to start by placing the red jack. Okay, so he goes on the grid point marked 4-4, which is at the top right. Okay, now it's black's turn, and they're going to move the blackjack to the center point at 1-2. Okay, now the queens. Red queen is going to go to 3-6, which is the northern point. Alright, 1-4 for the black queen, which is over here, just below the red queen. Alright, 4-4 is already occupied, so we need a reroll. 4-6 is the southern point, and then finally black king is at 5-6, which is the top western point. Okay, so all characters have been placed, and the final thing to do before game begins is to deal out 5 component cards for each faction. So this is black's pool and red's pool. component deck goes back into the shuffle. Alright, so this is what the setup looks like for standard rules. And when play begins, because red rolled initiative, they're going to go first. And they are able to move all three characters from the Jack, Queen, and King. They can move each of them one space to place a node. So I'm going to look at the component hand for red. And I've got a good assortment. So I'm going to move the Jack, and the characters can be moved in no particular order. I'm going to move the Jack here to node 1-6 and place an A component. Okay, next I'm going to move the red king over to 0.45 and place a C component. So already one of the simple circuits, in this case the right triangle, almost is completed. But I don't have the proper component to put on this line segment. For our rules of play, we use circuit recipes, so that the right triangle, by example, needs A, B, and C. And so I've placed an A and a C, and now I need a B. And these can rotate. They don't need to be in any particular order, but I'll have to wait. Okay, so with the red queen, I'm going to move her to 0.44 and begin another circuit with a C component at that center line segment connecting the two right triangles. Alright, so I've moved once with all of the red characters, and they've all chosen to place a component down. So that's the end of red's turn. And now it's black's turn, the shadow mirrors. So the blackjack is going to stay where he's at. He's going to decide not to move because movement is optional. And he's going to choose to place down a D component. Alright, now the black king is going to move to 0.55 and place an A component. And then the black queen, she's going to stay where she's at and place a C component behind her. Alright, so that's the end of black's turn. Alright, now that it's rolled back over to red's turn, they have two components, so they get to replenish up to 5 components. Alright, I've gained a B component, and I'm going to use the red jack to place that. And as my first action of the turn, I have completed a simple circuit. So it has A, B, and C and reflects the circuit recipe that it needs. Alright. Now that the circuit is completed, the red faction is going to gain power points, and they do that by tallying up the numeric pairings at the circuit. So the right triangle has 3 circuits, and they tally up as 7 plus 4 is 11, plus 9 is 20 points. So that's a clean 20 points that goes to red. And these power points will be recorded on pen and paper. Now that red has power points, they can spend them. And what they can spend them on is technology or megalithic structures. And these are all free selections. From the lowest, the obelisk is 10 points, stone circle is 20 points, no, 25 points, and pyramid is 50 points. And all technologies are 10 points, and a player may look through the technology deck. So what I will do is purchase an obelisk to show megalithic structures. And once you've completed a circuit, the obelisk can go on any node that is part of the circuit. So the nodes that I gained power points from, the obelisk can go onto them. So I'm going to choose to put the obelisk on node 2-2. So that cost red 10 of his 20 power points. And finally, I'm going to look through the technology deck and decide that I want to purchase electromagnetic wings. So I bought an obelisk with 10 points and bought a pair of electromagnetic wings for another 10 points. So red has exhausted all of his power points. And because the faction has purchased this, they can go on any of their characters. But I'm going to decide to place it on the red jack. So now the red jack is capable of moving 2 line segments if he chooses. Okay, now that a circuit has been completed and the power points have been gained and technologies and megalithic structures have been purchased, the next section will be on combat.